Continuing on the review of Astrophysics for People in a Hurry, Chapter 1. Well, the fascinating aspect of the author is that he explains one of the most complex phenomena in our entire scientific history, the Big Bang, in a very smooth, fascinating, fluid way, in a flow-like situation. So he uses time as a basic tool to explain uh, the entire universe. That is itself a magical way of explaining. In the beginning, it says that 14 billion years ago, when our entire universe was in a very tiny state with extremely high density, and it had very small size, and at such a small size the density is so high that you need to have lots of super strong forces to make that size of an entire universe, which is now expanding in a very um, tiny place, which is almost zero. um, So in chapter 1 he explains that at the birth of our universe, the forces were so high that the universe, the small ball, which was at that time is extremely small, and it exploded in such a huge force that um, the four forces of nature which we know, the weak nuclear force, strong nuclear force, electromagnetism and gravity, they were merged into one force, one main force, and we call that phenomena singularity. um, and at that tiny size and extremely large powerful forces, large state, where the temperature is so high, many billions of degrees centigrade, the universe expanded. So he uses time as a tool to explain that entire phenomena, and he says um, in one place that 1/trillionth of a second has passed. So what happened if we freeze the time of 1/trillionth of a second? um, the, the the state of our universe, what would be there? The heavy metals, they were in the form of small particles, small quarks, electrons. They were enjoying their freedom with such high speeds, um, and then slowly, gradually, he explains further that the size of the universe was 1/10 of a million trillion of a meter, which is very small. uh, we can say 10 raised per minus 35 meter, which is further the value changes to 1/100 billion trillion uh, of the size of the meter, and the universe is expanding, and the time has just started. So after 1/trillionth of a second, we come to the Planck era, when the time is 1/10 of a million of trillion of a second. And at that time the state was so high that we had a soup of quarks, which has so much huge powerful forces. And just imagine that you have a pause button and you are just pause the expansion of your universe, and that's Neil deGrasse Tyson for you. And furthermore, he explains that at the beginning of the time, we had particles explaining the four fundamental forces of nature converged into one single force, singularity. And when we further distribute the particles, we say the photons which I'm just receiving from my star sun, just on my body and saying thank you. He's from the boson family. Photon is from the boson family, leptons is from the electron family, and neutrino is from the quarks family. And quarks are the smallest particle we know now, which have 6 flavors: up, down, charm, strange, and top, bottom. So at that time he explains that the universe is expanding in a brutally fast way with a very fast force, and the temperature is super high. And what's going to happen, he will take us to the birth of our star. And he says that after excuse me, in one position, he says 1 billion years, before 1 billion years, the expansion of the universe is continuing with a brutally force. At that very moment, matter and galaxies, they were being formed because of the extreme high forces we have. And matter was being formed in the shape of galaxies as a result of the matter, the universe, which is expanding and cooling at the same time. And after 1 billion years of the universe, after the Big Bang, the expansion and cooling, they started giving rise to formation of galaxies. And after the 9 billion years of the Big Bang, what's happening is, somewhere in Virgo supercluster there is a galaxy we know which is called Milky Way. It has an Orion arm, and at that very moment, 9 billion years after the Big Bang, the sun, our sun, has been born because of it has such high heavy elements the universe had with it, that it gave rise to our sun. At that very moment, at one way and at one place our sun is being born, the other way the 9 planets which we know are being born from the same forces which the universe brought with it, heavy metals at such a high temperature. So he further takes us 1 by millionth of a second. What happened at that time? The universe is expanding, and then what happened after 2 minutes of the Big Bang? The universe is further expanding. So in one position he says that our galaxy formed after 9 billion years, our star, and on the side by side he says that the state of our universe after 2 minutes. So what happened is, the electrons, they had super high energy, so they are moving freely throughout the universe with such high force. Photons are traveling speed of light, and after 380,000 years, the universe starts to cool down, and electron, which they are enjoying freedom, is coming to an end. And the temperature is, when the temperature is less than 3000 degrees centigrade, that's where the electrons, they are locked. Chapter 2 explains on earth as in the heaven. As the title says itself, that the laws are the same as they are on earth and as they are on heaven. The Newtonian laws, which we use every single day, the 3 laws of motion, starting from there to Newtonian mechanics, built up satellites using Laplace transformations, gravitational laws by Newton and Einstein. The same laws, they are the same in the heavens as well. So in this chapter, the writer explains in with the tool of religion. He says that in one way that Newton was discovering the work of God, and it was such a massive achievement by Newton. Chapter 3 is Let There Be Light. At its title says that the chapter itself speaks with the hidden mysteries of photons, the light, the general theory of relativity by Einstein, our own fabric of space-time fabric, how it came into existence from the Big Bang and all the way which we are now. It's a very cool way to explain. Chapter 4 explains between the galaxies. So now he takes us further in a cool way, where we have dwarf galaxies and which are revolving around massive galaxies, and we live in a solar system which itself is a part of our galaxy, and which is one of many billions of galaxies we have. And similarly, we have so many billions of galaxies, so many billions of stars in every galaxy, and it's amazing how Neil deGrasse Tyson has explained this complex information in a simple way. It's very cool. Chapter 6 is one of my favorite chapters. It's one of the latest topics of research in astrophysics. Is dark energy. Dark energy is currently one of the hot topics, and the writer explains in a magical way what is the reason behind the expansion of universe with such a high speed. Of course, there should be some